citizens. So let us play our part. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much. I think it'd be unfair to say we've not done anything as a state because equipments were provided for. And then with regards to playing out as citizens, I don't think it's because citizens don't give information or don't have the information to give doesn't mean the police can't work. I mean, there have been times where security agencies have their methods and means of getting information and knowing who is about to do what. I'm pretty sure it's not everybody who knows. What if nobody knows? Are you saying for that reason the police shouldn't work or shouldn't do anything? So, in as much as I understand what you're saying, that yes, indigents should also contribute when they know something, I think it's unfair and very, very inappropriate to say that the police can't work if we don't say anything, because they also have to do their job and find a way to get to know what's happening, regardless of whether they have all the information from people all the time.
Yeah, they have their own intelligence division that helps them source out
this information,
whether or not people are ready to talk or anything. So even though it's both ways, yes, so it's citizens who have information
can
should
give,
also share.
but you shouldn't say that the police cannot work if we don't give information at all. Well, let's leave that and get on to something else. This time it concerns the principals, headmasters, and headmistresses of some government-owned schools in the state, especially in Obiakpo local government. They seem bent on incurring the wrath of the River State governor. At least that's how it looks like. The reason is because they have continued to, allegedly extort parents and pupils of their schools, despite the declaration of the free education by the governor. This is in light of the recent complaints by some parents of some pupils in government-owned schools in the state who have continued to lament alleged extortion. Remember, someone called us on the show 2 days ago and complained of the same thing. Somewhere in Auda, where I can't remember exactly where, but complained about the same thing. And our correspondent, luckily this time, encountered one of such parents in a state-owned primary school in Obiakpo, and the parent complained bitterly that one of her wards, the name was exempted from the school register because she was yet to pay the sum of 4,000 naira for school uniform. I'm still thinking, how much is it to sew a school uniform? Like to sew, I don't think it will be up to 4,000 naira. Like to sew a school uniform. Like, so imagine. I think, okay, if you have 500 students, are you telling me that you'd have to collect 4,000 from the 500 students? That would be amounting to, I don't know how you call it, extortion, really.
You see, that brings us back to what we were saying yesterday. I mean, if the schools were taking these monies from these people, to do something else, say to fix or to get needful equipment or say things that they need, all right, to teach that have not been provided yet.
You might get the sympathy of the public in that way.
But then collecting this monies for, say, school uniforms and
papers,
some
to print
petty things, I don't see the
And then
need
the
for
amounts
all
are
this.
huge, because if you ask me, like, how many yards would a 7-year-old boy in a school or a 10-year-old or 11-year-old, if he wants to sew a uniform or she wants to sew a uniform, I'm pretty sure you get what, 10 yards? How much would that cost you? All right. 4,000 naira, I think I'm just being for, like, some materials that are a bit expensive. 1,000 naira, let's go 1,000 naira for a yard. You get 4 yards, all right? And I'm pretty sure you can sew a uniform for more than 2 persons using that at their size. But then you collect 4,000 from each of all these people. Where does the remaining part of the money go? What do you do with the excess figure? Like, what do you do with the remaining money? I think that's where the government was coming from, to say this is extortion regardless. We're not supposed to pay for these things. And I'm pretty sure the government should make available then free school uniforms, free books, sandals, and the rest of other things that these children would need to go to school. The parent was explaining that even after making a part payment of 1,000 naira, her child's name was still not entered into the school register.
They say make a damn man no pay no money for registration, but the uniform, I will buy uniform for 4,500. If PE uniform 2,000, school uniform 2,500. So I now tell them that I will buy, let them hold 1,000 first. Yes, I will give them the uniform. But I was surprised now. My children they tell me say my name is not to be registered. My children don't talk the thing and they do dumb here.
So we would be quick to blame and accuse the school authorities of extortion, which is justified as the government is given a blanket order banning all forms of payment in our schools and pronouncing free education. But look at the light of this allegation that the government is not backing its words with necessary actions. That's what we're saying yesterday. Those people who don't even have proper infrastructure, they're going to sit on the grounds to study. But then again, on the part of the schools, 4,000 naira fare for a uniform for one kid. That's also another thing to look at.
I just think that, as I said yesterday, it's not enough for you to just, declare that there's free education. You have to make sure that adequate facilities are put in place so that you don't have issues of extortion. And then if there are issues like this, you do know that it's out of the greed and, the inhumane needs of the school authorities or people who run the schools. But now you don't have, nobody can come out outrightly to say that the schools have everything that they need. So it's both ways. The government still is at fault. They need to make sure that in the end of the day, facilities, everything is put in place in this school.
I think there shouldn't be any form of extortion. Like, if the government hasn't put any facility in place, the school work with what you have. And then if you can't work, you let the government know that we're not doing this anymore. The first thing should be to obey, because at the end of the day, the government is like supreme in the state. There's nothing you can do about that. So obey that. One person has been caught, and the governor said, you're going, not just suspension, we're throwing you out of service. And that would not be good for your career. So advice would be to, first of all, stop. And then if you can't work because you don't have the adequate facilities, you let the government know about it, and that should be your call. But
then we should also have at the back of our minds that sometimes the government do not respond hastily to, needs like this. Sometimes you could just tell them that, okay, maybe you don't have certain facilities in place and all of that. And then it takes a longer period of time for you to get responses and all of that. So how do you
feel like we're going to get a protest soon from teachers and principals and headmistresses and headmasters of government-owned schools? Would it come to that point? Because at the moment, it looks like we might get to that place. Was it in Alakaya, the accident that happened to school? The principal also was complaining, like some things that they don't have and can't. And then wouldn't this affect the children? Would they get the quality that they ought to get? Because now teachers will blame it on these things aren't available. We can't get our own monies to do it by collecting levies. So the government has to bring it. If they don't, we can't teach.
Well, if it is glaring that things are not put in place, and then government does not want you to, go use your own ways to get around with these things, then there should be a protest. Because, in the end of the day, protest is the easiest way to get to them and get the government's attention. So if there's need for that.
Well, we hope it doesn't get to that. But I think the government, too, should do the right things before putting out these laws. Some of these things should have been looked at and plans should have been made to sort it out. Be necessary. Well, let's know what your thoughts are on this particular issue quickly before we wrap things up. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Andrew, once again.
Lieutenant, welcome.
Let me say that it is not difficult for the government to do everything for schools. But the problem is the bureaucratic process. And when those things are needed, the government will not be there because government are distracted because of policy. That is why the schools should be allowed to do what they think will help the system.
Isn't there a ministry that should be saddled with that?
Let me say that in the issue of that school, see the major problem we're having in this one now, the issue of uniform. Who will buy the uniform? Those students or those pupils? Because if you ask them to go and buy uniform by themselves, we are going to have more than 10,000 uniforms in one school. So government should come out with a clear-cut policy on this issue of this uniform. If government will so, they should give directive to the school. We are going to bring uniform for all the students, all the pupils. And these principals and head teachers, I don't know what is. They should wait. If government say don't collect anything, admit everybody. Let them be wearing what they have. Why are you telling them? If they say don't collect, don't collect. Like that woman is saying, the 4,000, as you were saying, is for PE and uniform. That is a set of PE, 2,000. There's two uniform, 2,000. Even if you ask that woman to go and sew uniform, she will spend up to that 2,500 because she will buy material and they charge him up and down uniform, not only trouser, top, and you understand. Then so what we are saying is that if government doesn't want any head teacher or principal to collect it, they should come out with a clear-cut policy on the issue of uniform. Let us say uniform. Leave chalk. The chalk is there. If there is no chalk in the school, every principal should allow the student to stay like that, be waiting for chalk. I said government will say go and borrow money and buy chalk. When money comes, we will refund you.
All right.
These are things that we expect government to come out with.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, Andrew. Good evening. Andrew, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, my name is TJK. I'm calling you from Ugruta.
Go ahead.
All right. Andrew, my own case is different. In Ugruta Community Secondary School, I have two kids. One is in JS3, one is in JS1. I paid 10,000 to register the two of them. There is no uniform. I sold my own uniform for them. The school also complained that when the supervisor comes from the ministry, they need to settle the supervisor. So all those things that were seeing briefly, now they have changed it from 10,000 to 10,000 JS3, 5,000 JS1. So the extortion is continuing. We are selling our uniform separately. Aside the money we paid, no receipt, no book, no pen, but we must pay. So that is the situation we find ourselves. So if it is what they collect to give our children the best school, even some teachers are thinking that they will stop coming to teach. They will stop coming to teach. After at the end of the month, they will pay them their salary. So let governor and his team do something about the school so that we will get the best education for our children. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And our last call for today. Hello to the 95.1 FM. Good evening.
Andrew.
Lawson, you're welcome.
Yes, see, people don't seem to understand. When you say free ed, there is no clear-cut policy for free education. You cannot, when the governor said this, it was 4 months back. You understand? You waited, school resumed, and nothing was done. In Bayelsa here, when the governor said principals, headmasters should not collect anything, by the time he was making that statement, books, uniform, sandal, everything was in place. And when I mean books, I'm not just talking about exercise book. Books in English, mathematics, economics, commerce, all the books were already in place. So, students, all you need to do here in Bayelsa is walk down to the principal and he will register you free. You understand this one? You know, you didn't give anything, you waited until school resumed. I don't know why people are even calling it free education, because you have not provided anything apart from that. Even within the schools, they need water, they need this toilet, so many things. They need good toilets, they need, their roofs are leaking, and then you say free education, and then you are suspending people. No, it is not good, Andrew. Let us be fair to
all
them.
Right.
If they are provided all of these things and they are still doing it, then you can suspend them. So please, I am appealing that the governor call back all those that he has suspended, provide the things, and see whether they will still collect.
All right, thank you very much. That's how we wrap things up on the platform. It was put together by Emmanuel Okoro. Next week is another time. Well, thank you.
Thank you, too.
I am Andrew. Bits and Pieces is next. Have a lovely, lovely evening.
This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people. Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today 95.1 FM.
Good evening. Welcome to today's edition of Bits and Pieces on your premium talk and news radio, Today 95.1 FM. I am Ifeemi Andrew. We begin with a report from Kano State, which says a magistrate court has ordered the remand of a 35-year-old man in prison custody for allegedly stabbing his stepmother to death. Sunusi Mahmuda was arraigned in court on a count charge of culpable homicide. The prosecuting officer, Inspector Pogu Lale, told the court that the defendant had a misunderstanding with his stepmother, Khadija Mohammed, before the incident. Lale alleged that the defendant in the process stabbed his stepmother with a knife on her stomach, which resulted in serious injury. According to reports, the victim was immediately rushed to a specialist hospital where she was confirmed dead. And in Benue, similarly, a magistrate's court in Makurdi, the capital, is reported to have ordered the remand of a 23-year-old mechanic in a correction center over the alleged murder of a woman. A report said that Tedo Ahambe allegedly killed a housewife during a robbery operation in Boko area of the state. Magistrate Ajuma Igama wished to take the suspect's plea for want of jurisdiction, gave the sentence after the prosecution counsel, Sergeant Atto Godwin, told the court that the suspect conspired with 6 others to commit the crime. The court also heard that the suspect stole 3 cell phones valued at 37,500 naira, a HP laptop valued at 50,000 naira, and a cash sum of 70,000 naira. And now to Osun State, a 70-year-old man identified as Oyedeji Sunday is reported to have been remanded in custody by a magistrate's court for raising false alarm. They lodged a complaint at the police station that his son Ayo was kidnapped. The 70-year-old man had appeared in court on a 5-count charge bordering on giving false information, breach of peace, and threat to life, among other charges. The prosecuting officer, Inspector Lamidi Razak, told the court that the accused also threatened the life of one Sikiru, whom he falsely accused of kidnapping his son. And now in Oyo, one Sergeant Wuraola Babalola is reported to have approached the customary court in Ibadan, seeking the dissolution of her 14-year-old marriage to her husband, Oladimeji, over alleged attempt to use her for money ritual. The policewoman alleged that her husband always used different kinds of charm whenever he wanted to sleep with her. The woman, who also told the court that her husband turned her into his punching bag, revealed how he stripped her at the slightest opportunity and how he banned her relatives from visiting them. From Ogun State, the police have arrested a 27-year-old man for allegedly attacking his employer. Reports said Ibuka Everest attacked his former employer, Teresa Nnamdi, tied her legs, stabbed